Good morning, Trailblazers. Happy Wednesday. We are here with another edition of Kids Talk Live here at DeSoto Trail. I'm hearing an echo out there. Is that?
Yeah, it was going to close that door.
Okay, we are talking about this fabulous book right here. It's called Abby Carnelia's One and Only Magical Power. There we go. It is one of our Sunshine State selections for this year. We are here with a bunch of students who have read the book, and we're here to participate in this book talk. So I'm Miss Chrissinger, the media specialist here at DeSoto Trail. I'm here with...
I'm Mr. Schubert, the technology specialist here, and Miss Keltner wanted to be here but had to miss it for the meeting, but she did read this book and she loved it, so she is excited to see what we have to say about it today.
Yay. And let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, please. We'll start with the back row with Baylor.
I'm Baylor.
And tell us whose class you're in.
I'm in Miss Allen's 5th grade class.
I'm Molly, and I'm in Miss Hurst's class.
I'm Kylie, and I'm in Miss Allen's class.
I'm Mackenzie, and I'm in Miss Allen's class.
I'm Emily, and I'm in Miss Hurst's class.
Okay.
I'm Andrew, and I'm from Miss Allen's class.
I'm Josh, and I'm in Miss Allen's class.
I'm Justin, I'm from Miss Hurst's class.
I'm Santos, Joe Santos, from Miss Allen's class.
I'm James from Miss Molina's class.
Okay, great. Awesome. I wanted to say one quick thing. Who read the book as a physical copy of the book? Who read the physical copy of the book? And who read a Kindle edition or an online version of the book? Who read the physical copy?
I read the one in the library.
Okay, the paper copy. Okay, there you go. And I know Mr. Schubert read the online edition of the book. Where did you get that,
That's
Mr.
right.
Schubert?
I read an e-book, and actually our public library has ordered extra copies of the e-books of all the Sunshine State Young Reader books. So you can check those out on the public library's website, and that's really great. And then I know we also had some students who read this book as a class. So lots of us read this book in different ways. Some of it was read to us, or we read it on a paper book, or we read it on an e-book. So all kinds of different ways to read the book.
Yay. Okay, first of all, raise your hand if you liked the book. Awesome. I think we have a unanimous grouping over here. Excellent. Okay, we have some questions that we have on our sheet here in front of you. How old is Abby Carnelia, and what grade is she in?
Yeah, Baylor, go ahead.
Abby is 11 years old, and I believe she's in 6th grade.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Does anybody know what state she lives in?
Joe, tell us that.
Kentucky.
Yeah, she lives, not Kentucky. It kind of sounds like that. CT. CT stands for?
Connecticut.
Connecticut, someplace that's getting lots and lots of snow right now.
That's right.
So she lives in Connecticut. What is her favorite subject? Something very important in school.
James, tell us that.
Science.
Yes, she loves science, and this plays a big part in the book because this book is about magic. How old was Abby Carnelia when she discovered she had magical powers? How old was she? And how did she find that out?
Pass the microphone on down to Molly. She can tell us that.
She was 11, and she discovered her power by pulling her ear.
Okay, and when she pulled her ear, what happened?
An egg spin.
An egg started spinning. How cool is that to see an egg start spinning? So she activates her magic by pulling her earlobe. And in the book, it talked about the word trigger. And a trigger is something that makes something else happen. So when she pulled her earlobe, the egg started spinning. How does Abby describe herself as compared to other people in the school? What does she think of her power? How does she describe herself?
Emily?
Average.
She does. She describes herself as average. Nothing special, just an average person. I want you to think about this for just a second, and we'll call on a few people. If you had a magical power, if you had a power with magic, what would it be?
Okay, let's get Andrew and pass it kind of down that row.
I would have flying.
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 Wow. That'd
I'd want time travel.
be, wow, time travel. When would you travel to?
The future, so I can take something and then go to the past and sell it.
Oh, the future. Oh, a little business,
selling.
business mind over there.
Entrepreneur.
I want to move things with my mind.
Move things with your mind?
I want to have something that can do my homework for me.
Super strength.
Super strength.
Something to make my little brother a little quieter.
I would want to be invisible.
Ooh. Molly, did you have a magical power?
I would want to turn invisible.
I would want to make, so no one calls on me in class like I'm not there.
I would want to fly.
Awesome. Do you have a magical power,
Okay.
Mr. Schubert?
Oh, magical power. I haven't thought about that. I don't know. What would yours be?
I think I would like to move things with my mind. Make things move. Telekinesis, moving things with your mind. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. It would save us a lot of time.
Yes, it would. You could be really efficient that way and you can multitask and get lots of things done.
I think mine would be teleporting because that also would save a lot
Ooh.
of time to be able to be wherever I need to be.
Be in one place, then you'll be in another place.
Exactly.
How cool is that? Awesome powers. Well, maybe one of these days we'll see you guys doing that. Who knows? Okay. Have you ever gone to a summer camp where you stayed the night? This is a multi-part question. Have you ever gone to a summer camp where you stayed the night? What kind of camp was it, and where was it?
Mackenzie, tell us about that.
I have stayed. I stayed at this Girl Scout camp, and we went to Georgia, and we were sleeping out there for 3 days. So.
Wow. Was that like a weekend camp?
Yeah.
Very fun.
One couple more.
Who else has gone to it? Let's Baylor tell us about yours.
I went to a Boy Scout camp, and we stayed there for a weekend. It was at the Mariana Caverns. It was at the Mariana Caverns Park.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I went to a soccer camp, and it was in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Whoa.
Different state.
How long were you at that camp?
7 days.
Oh, wow, a whole week.
Now, did you go with your parents or did you go by yourself?
My parents were there, but I was at the camp. Then my parents were in Santa Cruz, and I was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
San Fernando Valley, the second hottest place in the United States.
Okay.
Wow. Very good.
Okay, what kind of summer camp would you like to go to that you have not gone to before? Is there a camp that you would like to go to?
Let's go to Joe. Tell us about that.
Like James said, I want to go to a soccer camp because I really like soccer. Know more about it.
Okay, sports.
Kylie?
A softball camp.
Softball camp. Good. Mackenzie?
I want to go to a gymnastics camp in Texas. So, yeah.
Wow, you have so many athletes here. Let's go Baylor.
I've heard about these. They're NBA Legends training camps.
Is that a sports camp? Basketball.
Is that with NBA legends like NBA players? Wow, really cool. Really cool. Go ahead.
I'd like to go to some sort of drawing camp.
Ooh,
Make sure
an
they're still
artist.
on. Make sure the mics are still on.
Okay. Excellent. Well, hopefully you'll get the chance to do that. And if your parents see this, perhaps they could talk to you about those kind of camps that you want to go to. Okay, so Abby has this magical power. She sees a flyer and she wants to go to this Camp Cadabra, to find out more about her power.
We've got a technical difficulty with the mic. Is it on? Is it green? Okay. You can't hear this one? James, is your mic on? Okay, we may have to just use this one if they can't hear that one.
There's some over here.
Yeah, we could grab those too, but we have enough kids. Probably
Okay.
it's okay to pass that one around.
Yay, we're
So-
flexible.
Okay, so that back mic there. So we'll just use that mic for everything.
Okay, we can just
Pass
pass
it
it
around.
around because Trailblazers are flexible.
Yeah, you
awesome.
guys are doing great.
Awesome. Okay, so Abby goes to this Camp Cadabra. Her parents let her go. She befriends somebody there. Who is that friend? I didn't put this in the notes, so yes.
Yep, tell us.
His name is Ben.
His name is Ben, and does he have a magical power as well?
He does, but the first one he shows her is fake, but he does discover that he has another.
Okay, later on. What is his fake magical power?
He can close his eye and wink, and then a key will turn over in his hand.
Okay, so the trigger is him closing his eyes, and the key will turn over in his hand. Abby does something to show her magic to the other campers. What does she do?
Is it Justin? Yep.
She does her trick at the camp, the magic show at the camp.
I'm sorry, what?
She does her trick at the magic show.
At the magic show, yes, kind of like the talent show we had here at DeSoto Trail last week. Students were able to get up and show their magic and have everybody else watch them so they could get the experience of showing it to others. Okay, so she shows her magic to the other campers at the magic show. What happens after that? What happens that's important to the story after that? Who sees her?
Okay, Molly.
After she performs the trick, she feels like she's famous
She feels like she's famous, and then what happens? Does she stay there at the camp, or does she go some other place?
She goes to a super camp because she has a real magical power.
Yeah, she gets the opportunity to go to another camp along with some other students there at the camp. They take off and go to something called a super camp. Now, would your parents let you go to a camp that they didn't know anything about? Raise your hand if you think they would let you go. All right. So I want to ask you this question. Do you think it was very realistic for Abby to go to a super camp? Do you think it was realistic in this story?
Baylor, what do you think?
Not very, because I don't think they checked with her parents, if I remember correctly. So my mom wouldn't have let me do that, change camps instantly.
Okay.
So.
And
Justin?
They did call her parents in the book after they decided that she was going to the camp, but their parents had to sign on the papers first.
They did have to sign the papers. They sure did have to sign the papers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was the signing the papers made it a little more realistic, but it was also kind of surprising that they would let her move in the middle of the camp, right? Yeah, James.
They modified her emails. So when
They modified them when, James?
when she would write please get me out, we're in a basically a prison here, because when her friend Ben tried to walk out, he touched the gates and an alarm went off and everyone was freaking out. But eventually she texted her or emailed her parents in code, the first word code, and her brother was obsessed with codes, so they realized it, and it said, please help me, come pick me up fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that kind of led into another question we had.
Yes.
So that's great. Yeah.
Yes. So the camp wasn't exactly what she thought it would be. What were they really doing at the camp?
Jordan. Oh. Kylie. Yeah, Kylie. Let's go, Kylie.
They were testing them with the medicine or with products that would make people feel better and help them if they were like sick, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so why were they wanting to find out about the medicine? What were they doing with these students? That was the result, but why were they wanting to do this?
Let's see. Let's go, Andrew.
Thank you, James.
They were trying to make medicine for people who had cancer, and they did surgery. They had to do surgery.
Surgery on who?
On the campers.
On the campers, on the students, yes. They were wanting to do all kinds of things.
Okay, Justin?
You want to add to that?
They were trying to test their blood to see what was in their blood so they could put it in their medicine to make a super medicine.
Who would want to go to camp and have their blood tested? Not me. Not me.
If they're testing if you're like a superhuman, like Stanley's superhuman, that kind of made me think about that.
About?
Stanley's superhuman.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the issue especially was that they didn't tell them that that's why they were there. So maybe some of us would sign up to go to a camp where they're going to test us if it's going to help other people, but not when they didn't tell us that's why we're there. And not when they didn't tell us that they're going to make a profit off of us either.
Yeah.
You had something to add?
They were going to attach wires, like put them in a machine and attach wires to them to test their blood.
Yeah.
Do all kinds of
So
experiments
Abby
on
wanted
them.
to get out before that because she hated getting tested for
Yeah, it
blood.
doesn't sound very fun.
So Emily, what was the super camp? What were they there to do?
They were there to, like the campers thought that they were just there to help learn their magic, like.
Yeah, learn more about their magical
Magic.
powers.
But they were really there to get tested for their blood and help people with cancer, so they could like make medicine out of their blood, and so they could help the people with cancer.
Does anybody remember what that word is they used in there when you're being used as a subject for something else?
Baylor?
You're like a guinea pig?
A guinea pig, yeah, a guinea pig. Why do they call it that? I don't know, but that is exactly what it is.
Joe, you can tell us why?
I know why they call it guinea pigs, because they do tests on guinea pigs, like animals, and one of those animals, sometimes they use guinea pigs to test like different things to test them on. So that's why they call them like human guinea pigs, because they like, test them.
Okay. And as James said, that her brother Ryan plays an integral part of this story. He had a it's not really a trick. It's something that he had a passion, a skill, yes, that he learned, and that was breaking codes. So Abby was able to, because they were monitoring the emails that were being sent back and forth to the parents' house. Abby was able to put her message in code. Ryan, her brother, was able to read that code and break it. So that was really awesome. That's an awesome skill, kind of like Morse code or some other kind of code where you don't want anybody else reading the information. You can hide it inside. Okay, so do they get out of this magic camp? And how do they do it?
And tell me, we haven't heard from him yet.
That's
'cause he's new, right?
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan. Okay, yeah. Jordan, tell us about that.
Well, they escaped the camp by using each one of their powers. They used Ricky's power to fog up the cameras, and they used Alicia's powers to like float across the floor without activating the motion sensors. And then Abby used her power to like activate the motion sensors when the guards were coming.
How awesome is that?
So
That
they
is
were
really
able to
cool.
use, and what was really cool about that is that through most of the book, we probably thought their powers were pretty insignificant, right? But then they were able to use them in a pretty big way, even though they were small little powers.
And they used them together.
Yes.
They collaborated and
Yes.
worked as a team, which was really important in this story.
James.
And they used Abby's egg power to set off motion sensors in one part, so they thought they were in one part, but they were actually in another, which was they fogged up the security cameras, and then they used her hovering camera to get across the sensor secure hall.
Did it crash? I wonder if it crashed.
Okay, we're going to continue while Mr. Schubert walks into the room there to check out the technical situation here. But we're going to go ahead. They can still hear us. So let me ask you this. Why are magic tricks believable? When you see a magic trick, why is it believable? Josh.
I think maybe it kind of helps because the magicians never tell what they're actually doing, so that's what makes it seem like real magic.
Yes, and they use the skill of illusion. So they're actually doing one thing when you're seeing another thing. And we had a vocabulary word that I thought was really, really cool in here. I even had to look it up because I didn't even know what it meant. They mentioned the word legerdemain. Legerdemain. And that's the skillful use of one's hands when performing conjuring tricks. So the hands play a big, important part of magic. Okay, last question, and we're going to ask this of each of you. I want you to think about what did you learn about magic from reading this book? What did you learn about magic from reading this book? And this will be our last question.
Okay, so pass the microphone. You just pass it around. Yeah, we can start down there with James since you guys are ready.
I learned, could I just say a trick or? I learned the heads or tails trick, that if you go like this and you flip a coin, you can feel which side it is in under 3 seconds by rubbing your hand and closing your eyes, rubbing your hand over it. And if there's 3 lines, it means it's the tail side of a dime. If there is a small circle, it means it's a heads side of a dime. And if it's same on quarters, but pennies, it's a little different. If you feel a square, it's tails. And if you feel a circle, it is heads.
Interesting.
I learned that magic can be a truly strange phenomenon, but it can actually relate to ways that you never thought it could.
Cool. Yep, excellent. Keep passing the microphone.
I learned about doing the triggers.
Okay, triggers that make the magic happen. Okay.
There are a lot of different kinds of magic.
Such as?
Like telekinesis or whatever.
Okay.
I learned that there is a lot of different tricks and things you can do with magic.
I learned that there are tons of ways to trigger your magic, and you might just end up finding it in very weird ways, like Abby Carnelia did.
They might seem useless, but when you're in an emergency, you could use them to get out of it.
I learned that with tricks, like when you use your hands, it can distract the audience from what you're really doing.
I learned that in the book, it makes it seem like everyone has powers, just they haven't been in the right situation to discover them.
Yeah, I learned that just maybe, everybody in the world might have a power, but they might just have not found it out yet.
You have a thought there, Jordan? Did you already say yours?
What did you learn about magic or something you learned from the book? We can come back to you if you think of something. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Something I told you that was the last question, but we didn't answer the last part. And you guys didn't get this question. This was on my notes. What does Abby do with her magical powers at the end of the story? What happens at the end of the story?
Let's see, Baylor.
She opens like one of those little stores at the mall or something, and then she, I can't remember what the name of it was, but she used it to help people find their trigger because she knew there was probably more people out there that had a little power. She just needed to help them find their trigger.
Okay, so she's sharing.
You want to add to that?
I think it was called Abby Carnelia's Find Your Magic Center.
Find Your Magic Center, perfect. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Do you think you would go to an Abby Cornelius Find Your Magic Center if we actually had those?
I would probably go to it.
I think so too. Here, pass it on down to her. Let her add to that.
With the Find Your Magic Center, even adults came in and played with tiny toys to see if they could find their magic.
And what did they say about the adults being able to find their magic versus the kids being able to? Do you remember?
The kids are easier because they're younger and they can do more crazier things than the adults. And the adults might just have a tiny spark, but the kids could have a little bit bigger spark.
They said that the adults might have started to lose their magic. So that was interesting. You want to add to that? You have a reason why that might be?
I think in the book it said that you lose your magic when you go into adulthood. I think that's what it said, but like you lose your chance to find your magic if you don't know what it is. But people who already found their magic keep it because like they never found an adult who had their magic.
Right. Okay. Andrew, you want to add to that?
Yeah. It could be that they stop believing in magic when they grow older, and it just stops.
Yeah, that's an interesting hypothesis there. Let's pass it on down to Jordan. Let him add to that.
I think the reason she opened the Abby Carnelia's Find Your Magic Center is because Ben found his magical power by singing that song. He made the paper like get lighter or darker.
Yes, Ben actually found out he had a magical power after all.
And Abby helped him find it, so yeah, that is true.
That made her feel good. So one of the things I thought was very interesting about this book, we just did science fair experiments last month, and one of the things they say about using science is for you to share your results with other people. So Abby actually what she learned, she shared with other people, which was really, really cool. That's important to keep that knowledge going. Emily, do you want to do our last thought here, and then we'll close out our program?
I think that adults lost their magic because like they stopped believing in magic and they like knew how all the magicians did their tricks, and so they just stopped believing in magic because they thought it was just fake magic, and so like the magic is gone. But I think if the adults kept believing in magic, then they could find their spark.
Excellent. Excellent. And I'm going to make a connection here. A movie that was popular a while back with Robin Williams, Hook, and Peter Pan. Yes. And he actually said if you find your happy thought, then it will bring back some of that magic. So I'm going to ask you guys to find your happy thought today. Thank you for participating in this book talk. Stay tuned for our next book talk. We'll let you know when that's going to be and what book it is going to be on. Okay? So thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Schubert, for sitting in for Mrs. Keltner.
No problem.
So everybody give a nice wave and a bye to the camera. Bye. Bye.
Bye.